Every living thing that breathes and uses up energy needs some form of recollective sleep or rest. Yet many of us choose to stay up quite often, binge watching shows and finishing up that really long paper that you're just now getting to. Once we finally do become tired though, our mind and body slowly shut down into a rest mode of sorts, allowing us the time and peace we deserve to properly commence our next day. We'll rise, maybe slowly at first, but for our own good once the sun does and begin again. But sleeping has, in itself, a huge phenomenon that has confused and baffled more than just the laziest and sleepiest of our population. We as humans enter different sleep stages that span over our time of inactivity. Most commonly known are the REM and NREM sleep stages. REM meaning rapid eye movement and NREM meaning non-rapid eye movement. In these stages, one can experience a dream, which are a multitude of things, but are generally strange or incohesive experience-like episodes that may or may not follow a narrative structure. In your dreams, you can see, hear, and feel vivid memories and stories that can be very puzzling or otherwise bizarre. We'll take a bigger look into what dreams are and what they can do for us in this video. All animal species present some form of sleep, or rest, which is considered as the sleep equivalent in reptiles, amphibians, fish, and invertebrates, and all need recovery sleep when staying awake longer than usual. As it happens, sleep contributes to several basic physiological functions pertaining to immunity, hormonal regulation, thermoregulation, and ontogenesis. In our case, sleep seems like a key component to the way we maintain our energy and regulate our memory and mood. Dreaming as a phenomenon doesn't really seem to have, within its own process, a clear purpose. And what's worse, dreams themselves stem from sleep, which is already such a confusing and delicate concept. Sleep may offer offline reprocessing of emotion and may influence the development and maintenance of waking consciousness. In addition, sleep can also facilitate insightful behavior because it involves a restructuration of new memory representations. Perhaps our own dreams are the cause of unexplainable déjà vu moments that some can testify to experiencing. Dreams are as intriguing as they are perplexing, but the hard-working researchers that are at the forefront of this phenomenon are putting forth their suggestions. Our waking moments are sort of linked to our unconscious state of sleep. This is why the loss of sleep correlates to some negative behavior. Some other functions, such as emotional regulation and social cognition, may benefit from dreaming, as this can provide an offline, virtual, and safe environment in which the dreamer can be exposed to an important load of rewarding or aversive stimuli. So that's it? Is sleeping just playing a life simulator for you to win some nice handouts? If this seems sort of strange and ridiculous, you're probably not alone. This might seem too far-fetched, but this is where all the confusion could come from. When talking about dreams, we're analyzing the thoughts and experiences of a human being while unconscious. If acquiring accurate information on the thoughts and feelings of conscious people is already troublesome, how are we doing it once we shut down for the day? How many dreams do you have in a single night? The number can span significantly between a small group of people, surprisingly. You might want to jump to the conclusion that those with better memory would excel in remembering what they dreamt of, but that might not be the case. On the other hand, neurological patients who report loss of dreaming are no more likely to have memory disorders than those who report dreaming, suggesting that lack of dream reports indeed reflects lack of experience rather than changes in memory alone. One could claim that we are unconscious throughout sleep and merely have a tendency to confabulate during the transition into wakefulness. However, it seems highly implausible. When one has just experienced a vivid dream, it seems hard to believe that it was made up in a flash during an awakening. Scientists are only able to ask very specific questions to try and figure out what it's like for the patient. And dream recall varies considerably between individuals. Thus, scientists gather dream reports. It is worth keeping in mind, though, that several factors may render dream reports less trustworthy, including dramatic state change, since we report about a sleep experience when awake; considerable time delay, since dream reports are obtained after the experience, possibly leading to passive forgetting and interference; difficulties in verbally describing experiences that are mainly visual and emotional; and censorship of embarrassing, immoral, sexual, and aggressive material. According to early neuroimaging studies, the distribution of brain activity during sleep is not homogeneous and is characterized by specific activation and deactivation patterns. More recent studies using imaging methods with higher temporal and/or spatial resolution reveal more transient changes in brain activity and in brain connectivity across different sleep stages. Researchers are using these techniques to observe the ongoings of our bodily functions while asleep. But what about the dreams themselves, and what they could mean? If so many of us are inexperienced in dream recall, then how can we increase our chances of gaining any results in this aspect? Brilliant minds have come together, as they do, to create what's known as the arousal retrieval model. The model assumes that traces of dreams are not encoded during the dreaming process itself. One possible explanation for the lack of encoding could be related to the substantial deactivation of the prefrontal cortex during both non-rapid eye movement and rapid eye movement sleep. The prefrontal cortex is essential for executive functions involved in the encoding of complex content. Therefore, according to the model, a period of wakefulness is necessary to enable long-term storage of short-term dream content. If this occurs, subsequent retrieval of long-term storage is enabled. Patients in more recent research are being woken up from their sleep in order to register their experience in their long-term memory, and then are allowed the rest of their sleep. Practice makes perfect in this field, so we'll be continuing for experiments to come. While we conduct further into this concept, let's look at some more of what we have found. A series of studies done by David Folks showed that children under the age of 7 reported dreaming only 20% of the time when awakened from REM sleep, compared to 80% to 90% in adults. Certainly, children are even less experienced in dream recall than your average adult. It seems that preschoolers' dreams are often static and plain, such as seeing an animal or thinking about eating. There are no characters that move, no social interactions, very little feeling, and they do not include the dreamer as an active character. Also, preschoolers do not report fear in their dreams, and there are few aggressions, misfortunes, and negative emotions. So when could specifically narrative dreams start to develop in humans? Well, at around age 7, dream reports become longer and more frequent, contain thoughts and feelings, the child's self becomes an actual participant in the dream, and dreams begin to acquire a narrative structure and begin to reflect autobiographic, episodic memories. Overall, dreaming appears to be a gradual cognitive development that is tightly linked to the development of visual imagination. Also, at around age 7, do dreams become more emotional and intense for the dreamer. Formal content analysis has revealed that mood, imaginativeness, individuals of interest, and predominant concerns are correlated between our waking and dreaming selves. Generally speaking, our personality, standards, and preferences are congruent in dreams as with our natural consciousness. Dreams, like our personality in general, are quite stable over time into adulthood and share many characteristics across cultures. In addition, we feel we are personally participating in many dream events. Another thing to note is that some dreams are characterized by a high degree of emotional involvement, including joy, surprise, anger, fear, and anxiety. However, emotions are feeble in other dreams and are absent altogether in about 25 to 30% of REM sleep reports, including in situations where emotions would likely be present in waking. Once again, highlighting the variability in dream phenomenology. Negative emotions in dreams also can serve to dismiss the argument that dreams are just nightly fantasies. Envy, embarrassment, attachment, sexual attraction, shame, pride, and etc. are often reported in dreams, thus supporting the idea that the dreamer is exposed to both his or her own emotions and the expression of emotions in other dream characters. Interestingly, dream content includes a series of images, thoughts, effects, emotions, and sensations. Several studies suggest an enhanced role of REM sleep in more emotional processing tasks in comparison with non-REM sleep. It has been concluded that dream content varies as a function of sleep stage or time of night. Dreams seem to be more vivid and emotionally loaded during REM sleep, in comparison with dreaming in other sleep stages like NREM dreaming, where they have been found to have a more thought-like cognitive nature. Some dreams could seem so vivid and established that it would be difficult to verify the reality of it. Sometimes, terrible things can happen in a dream, but one shouldn't avoid sleep. Sleep seems restorative in daily functioning, whereas deprivation of sleep makes us particularly more sensitive to emotional and stressful stimuli and events. With that being said, our emotions are a strong property to our sense of being, and unmasking the purposes of our dreams can possibly help us understand our own purpose in the future.